Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Demons' qualities are here summarized, and they will be discussed more in the upcoming verses. You've got to be a demon to be proud, arrogant, conceited, angry, speaking harshly. The basis of all this is ignorance. However, in the spiritual world, there's an absence of these bad qualities. In Vaikuntha, there's no such thing. Everyone is there very happy, serving the Lord. There's no pride, arrogance, conceit. But if we go a little higher, we hear that, especially in Krishna's pastimes with Radharani, Radharani is very dear to Krishna because she manifests towards him pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and Krishna loves it in her. When the demons exhibit such quality, well, Krishna calls such persons demons. And he says very clearly at the end of this chapter that these demoniac qualities, these three gates to hell, kama, krodha, lobha, lusty desire, anger, and greed, there are three gates to hell. But in the very highest level, there's pride, arrogance, conceit, harshness, all these bad qualities on the platform of love, because the platform of ignorance, when these bad qualities, pride, harshness, when the backdrop, the basis, is ignorance of our constitutional position of service to Krishna, and then we get, later in the chapter we'll see the demons always thinking, and now I have so much money, this is my enemy, I will kill him. It's all based on ignorance. Ishvaroham aham bhogi, siddhoham balavan sukhi. I'm the boss around here. Jagadahuranishvaram. They say there's no controller in the universe, but they think I am the controller. I am the enjoyer. Everything in the world is meant for my enjoyment. I'm perfect, I'm powerful, I'm happy. This is all on the platform of ignorance of Krishna's constitutional position. And the residents of Vrindavan, they're also ignorant of their constitutional position. They don't go around talking the Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. They don't do that. They think Krishna, yes. They think Krishna is one of them. They think Krishna. You could stop the sentence there. Because everything, they're just completely absorbed in Krishna. They don't have any understanding why. They're not Vedanta scholars. But everything they do is with love of Krishna. And it seems perfectly natural and normal to them, just like the mother with the child, the children are naughty, the boys are naughty, and the mother gets angry. I think nowadays the mothers, you're not allowed to get angry at your children because the people are really stupid. But that's also required. Speaking to a psychologist. But that's also required to train the children, to socialize them, so that they... Otherwise, because we're all agyanatimirandhasya, we're all born in the darkest of ignorance. Unless children are trained and socialized, then they will exhibit these qualities as they grow up. Unless they're trained not to be selfish, proud, nasty, then if they're allowed to indulge in it, then they'll grow up to be like that. So Mother Yashoda gets angry at Krishna, and no one will fault. Nowadays, again, it's a upside down, inside out, back to front world. But it's a common thing. The mother or the father will chastise the child, and that's expected. The father may seem to be harsh toward the children, but that's out of concern for them, that they grow up to be good citizens. So in Vrindavan, no one thinks of Krishna. They have ajnana in the sense that they don't know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they simply love him and they take him to be one of them. But it's not exactly the same as the love of the material world, because in this material world, ajnana, or lack of knowledge of our constitutional position, is the basis, is the background of our psychology. And everyone, even though there's socialization so we're not selfish, but it's all on the background of ignorance, and everyone, to greater or lesser degree, is in the consciousness of wanting to make themselves Ishvaro Ham, Aham Bhogi. I should be the enjoyer of this world. The difference is that in the spiritual world, everyone simply lives for the pleasure of Krishna. And in Vaikuntha, there's no pride, arrogance, conceit, no such thing. But Krishna gets a little bored of that. Yeah, it's okay being God, but sometimes everyone's nice here. So sometimes throw down Jai and Vijay. I can fight with them. We can have, they can get angry at me, and I'll get damn angry at them too. I can't get angry at them in Vaikuntha. There's no such thing. But that's still the demoniac spirit. But the anger of love, there may be reason for that or no reason. Even without any reason. The perverted reflection is there in the material world. But that Krishna, he becomes so enamored by the love of Radha for him that she doesn't think about it. She doesn't calculate in her mind. And this, we see the perverted reflection in women's psychology in this world. And again, I don't know if we're supposed to talk about such things in the present age. But without thinking, they'll just say outrageous things with pride, arrogance, and conceit. But it's all part of the rasa, the exchange of love, which is almost impossible for us to understand. Now we hear about Radha and Krishna by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, brought to us by Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, who's talking about that? Even Vaikuntha is not much known in the material world because people come here to forget Vaikuntha. And what to speak of the world even above that. So these are very, very rare talks and very difficult to understand. It's not possible to understand, actually. It's not simply by brain power we can understand. We can understand to some extent, just like we say the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, and just as in the spiritual world, the Adi Rasa, the topmost exchange, is that of sexual interaction, erotic interaction, male-female interaction. So the bottom in the material world is that interaction gone wrong, upside down. So we can understand it to some extent, but ultimately Krishna himself even can't understand it. He thinks himself, well, he finds himself incapable. He says, Ye yata mang prapadyante tangs tathaiva bhajamyaham mamavat manuvartante manusham partha sarvashaha. I reciprocate with everyone. As they approach me, I reciprocate them. But he finds in the gopis, especially, that because he himself is the reservoir of all desirable, lovable qualities, and the gopis, they love him, and they become inspired by him. And then their inspiration inspires him more, so he increases in his love and his beauty and his sweetness. And then they sing that, they increase also, and it goes back and forward. But Krishna always finds himself behind, and he wonders, how is it that they're enjoying me so much? I'm supposed to be the supreme enjoyer, but they're enjoying me more than I enjoy them. They're getting more happiness from loving me than I get from loving them, because their love is of a greater quality than mine. So then he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to try to understand, to try to experience. It's not a matter of understanding as experiencing. So very clearly we can see in this world that there is harshness, arrogance, pride, the qualities of the demons. Qualities, the word is used, the characteristics of the demons. But it's a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, the worst demons. Just this morning, we were talking about, well, somehow or other, we were talking about Stalin. Hitler's famous as a big demon, but Stalin pretty much outdid him. Such an evil person. That is the nature of this material world. That people have this, and power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it is said, unless the heart is very pure. So these qualities are seen to greater or lesser extent. And people who have these characteristics defining their personality, they're considered evil people, bad people. But it's the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. How bad is Stalin or Hitler? Or there may be so many others also. How bad are they? It's hard to consider. Or there may be so many criminals who they're small time compared to these big time demons, but they kill people and they have no feelings. They kill people, they torture them. Torture! What a nasty thing to do, torture. And they take pleasure in doing that. How demoniac. But it is the perverted reflection of the topmost love, which is almost impossible for us to imagine or believe. Therefore, it's not much spoken about. But of course, in the spiritual world, there's no torture. But Krishna may feel it like that. Or Radha may feel it like that. The pain that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressing, the feeling of Radharani, the Yugayitam Nimeshena, he's being tortured. One moment is like millions of years. Feels like a great, great torture. We're just discussing this morning how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's his feeling of melancholy and moroseness is actually bliss. He's feeling that in separation from Krishna. And we hear that Krishna is approaching Radha, and she won't budge. She won't budge. And she knows Krishna is pained in heart, but she won't budge. And the other way around also. Krishna abandons Radharani, makes her feel marmahatam. It means I'm hurt to the very core of my being, just by Krishna going away. So that's going on. But this is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. It's blissful, spiritual. We can talk about it, but it's achintya, beyond our ability to understand. And again we find in Caitanya-caritamrta, this is said by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that well, we can't understand it. But anyway, this is it. He was asked to compile the last phase of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. The devotees in Vrindavan had taken great pleasure in hearing Chaitanya Bhagavat, the earlier pastimes, but the later pastimes were not discussed. And actually, it doesn't take up that. If you see the content of Caitanya-caritamrta, the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, fully in the mode of Radharani, it doesn't take up that much of the text of Caitanya-caritamrta. But to even frame that, to put it in a manner that we can even begin to appreciate and understand it, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Krishna. He's taken the mode of Radha to try to understand and appreciate him, how her love for him and how she's appreciating his sweetness. And he is Krishna and he is Radha at the same time. And Shri Krishna, Shri Gopi, Parama Birod, Achincha Charitra Prabhu, Ati Sudurbodh. He just says you can't understand it. He's Krishna, he's Radha, they're complete contradictory, they're characteristics, but they're together, and it's Achincha. His characteristics are just, you can't understand, and it's absolutely beyond our power to understand. But he also says, you just go on reading, go on reading, go on reading. Go on reading, and then appreciation will come. So we find that these demoniac qualities are described, and they're very clearly apparent in the material world, in this Kali Yuga. Not only in Kali Yuga, we're having the Nrsimha Chaturdashi festival. Hiranyakashipu is the center stage in this pastime. If we see the pastime, the whole 7th canto description of Nrsimhadev, we say it's Nrsimha Leela, but actually he doesn't come till toward the end. And Hiranyakashipu is in the center, and Prahlad. So Hiranyakashipu, he was complete demon, very demoniac, and he wasn't in Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, we have mostly small-time demons, but they're still very disturbing. At least they can't disturb the whole universe like Hiranyakashipu. But those demoniac qualities, they are perverted reflections of the topmost loving qualities of Vrindavan, especially of Krishna's dealings with the gopis, which we hear about, but they're ati surdurbodh. They're way, way beyond our power of intelligence to understand. But still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and revealed that there is a place where there's pride, arrogance, conceit, harshness. Where does that all come from? Everything ultimately comes from Krishna. So can it be in the spiritual world also? Most definitely. But it's not debilitating. It's not degrading. It's of a completely different quality. And if we can worship, actually we should worship that. If we can accept that, what is the meaning of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Supreme Personality means, as Srila Prabhupada explained once, He is, among other things, the Supreme Lusty. Srila Prabhupada was once discussing how sometimes people criticize Krishna as having more than 16,000 wives. Oh, he's so lusty. And Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, but you have to admit, he's the Supreme Lusty. Even if you can't understand or you won't accept that this is all on the completely pure and spiritual platform, but still you cannot imitate him. You can't get, anyway, you can't get 16,000 women to marry you, but even if you could somehow or other, you wouldn't be able to maintain them all and have 16,108 palaces for them all and produce children in them all. So Krishna, He is the original source of all pride, anger, greed, lust, egoism. Yeah. He's the original source of all seemingly, well, they are bad qualities. For that matter, in this material world, charity, goodness, altruism, philanthropy, whatever we may think is good, is actually not. We may say, oh, such and such a person is a very good person. Yeah, just like we may say Stalin is a very bad person. Yeah, it's true. And someone else is a very good person. But it's all within the spectrum of forgetfulness of Krishna, envy of Krishna. Someone who is very good. Who's an American national hero? General Custer. He fought someone or other, I guess being a general. Who else? Roosevelt. Is he a national hero? Abraham Lincoln. Okay, he was a good man, right? He was against slavery, so they say. Although, anyway. But Agyanam, he was in ignorance of the ultimate goal of life. He may have had some knowledge of God or some idea of God. But his idea of goodness is that, yeah, we should treat all the humans well or equally. But what about the animals? Now there's a new Pope elected. Pope. What does he like to eat for breakfast? Not something that any sadhu in India would. He wouldn't be considered as, just by his breakfast, he'd be ruled out. Oh, goodness. Yeah, well, I especially think of what's a national hero. A national hero is someone who stands up for the country. Put America first. Make America great again. MAGA. All glories to Donald Trump. He's putting America first, right? That's what you should do. If you're the president of the country, you should put the country first. So he's good for America. He's trying to be good for America. But as Srila Prabhupada pointed out, people, they may be nationalistic, but they don't think, what about the animals? They're also American. They're getting killed. And again, why? Why should you be pro-America? Because you're born in America this time. Now there's India-Pakistan war going on. And if you get too much into that, then you're thinking, I hate Pakistan, I hate Pakistan. and then a Pakistani drone lands on your head, and you get born in Pakistan. Because you think yang vapis rambhavam tyajante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kontaya sata tad bhava bhavitaha. You get what we think of, that's what we get. So we're all in this position of ignorance, and we have an idea of what is good and what is bad, but it's all on the background of what is bad. Bhalo manda, there's the two words. What is good, what is bad. E bhalo, e manda, sab mana dharma. It's all on the mental plane. What is good? Now our country is the best country, or we should make our country the best country. This is all on the platform of ignorance. So it's very difficult. If we say to someone that so-and-so is actually not good. Now, if in America, of course, if you say Donald Trump isn't good, many people will agree. But if you say, you were saying Abraham Lincoln is accepted as a paragon of the great kind of personality that can come out of America. What about Albert Einstein? He was good, right? Yeah, well, if you look at their character, maybe not all good. He's a bit of a womanizer. But anyway, nowadays, doesn't matter. So if you were to go around saying Abraham Lincoln, there must be is there a Lincoln Memorial somewhere, something like. So if you were to go there and vandalize it, that would be considered a great act of disrespect to not just to Abraham Lincoln, but to the whole idea of America, and America's good, and because we have Abraham Lincoln, it's all based on ignorance. The whole background of it is ignorance. First of all, thinking I am an American is ignorance, or thinking I'm anything in this material world. So identification with the body. In the beginning, Krishna teaches, the first thing teaches, we're not the body. Based on that misconception, dehatma buddhi, thinking of myself as the body, then all bad qualities develop, or even good qualities that develop, they're not really good in the true sense of the term. Good means connection to Krishna in loving service. So even these are extreme qualities: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness. But they can be, in relation to Krishna, they're most glorious. Radharani is most glorious because Krishna himself takes her bodily luster and her feelings just to try to understand how great she is. He cannot understand her greatness. He feels himself defeated by her love. What is God all about ultimately? About love. But he feels himself defeated by her love. Even this concept of love, there's no proper understanding in the material world. That even the great religions they can't understand, because their understanding of God is without this understanding that we're not the body, we're eternal living beings, and we're eternally servants of the supreme enjoyer. Without that, our concept of God, it's going to be on the material platform, and therefore we think, God bless America, or God bless whatever country you're from. All on the platform of ignorance. So there are so many bad qualities which are described in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. But that's also to be found in the topmost devotees. What is to be done and what is not to be done according to the Vedic principles, they're beyond the Vedic principles. It's not to be imitated. But they know what is to be done, which is to serve Krishna, which may go against the idea of what is right and what is wrong in materialistic society. Neither cleanliness, they may, generally not, but there may be, there are examples, Rishabdev himself, the Avanti Brahmana, Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj, they didn't follow any rules of ordinary society. They appeared to be like mad people. Proper behavior. What is proper behavior? According to materialistic outlook, what is proper behavior? And devotees, they may not follow that. They may or may not. But their only intention is how to serve Krishna. And when they're completely absorbed in Krishna, they become oblivious to the material world. We're just reading some verses from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to the Mayavadis of Varanasi this morning in the talk. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted from, Ishwar Puri had quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, Ivang Vratas Priyanama Kirtya Jatanuraga. What is it? Jatanuraga Druta Chitta Uchai. Hasatyati Roditi Gayati Roti Unmadava Nrityati Lokabhaya. This is the perfection of life, Ishvara Puri told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, that someone who's completely in love with Krishna, they're chanting the name and the qualities and the glories of Krishna, and they become completely oblivious to the material world, and they sing and they dance and they laugh and they cry and they don't care what outside people think at all. So this is the highest level. Although devotees who are going to preach, they may not adopt this, but their whole concept and their whole understanding, they don't relate with materialistic people at all. They're literally in another world. Physically, they may appear to be part of this world, but they're in another world. That was seen in Srila Prabhupada also, that although he acted in some ways like one of us, but he was not from this world. He came to give the spiritual world. And what is truth? The materialistic idea of what is true, what is proper, the devotees have a completely different understanding, because the materialistic people, they don't understand what is truth. They don't understand what is right. If they don't understand everything in relation to Krishna, then everything, all their calculations are wrong. It's just like you may have very complex equations. There's a famous photo of Einstein, Albert Einstein. There must be so many other people with the surname Einstein, standing in front of a blackboard with so many equations on the board. And to be able to follow all that requires so much study to be able to come to the level of understanding that. But in all those equations, if you make a simple arithmetical mistake, then the whole thing becomes wrong. Just like in all of you have all this huge calculation, somewhere in there you have 2x times 2x equals 5x cubed. So you may not even notice it, which is wrong. It should be 4x squared. Right, 2x times 2x is 4x squared. So there may be some simple arithmetical mistake, but in all the huge, big calculation, you don't even notice it. And the result at the end comes out wrong. So you have a big mathematical construct, you can follow it all, but it's something basic you got wrong, and then everything becomes wrong. So unless we understand Krishna as the basis of everything, then everything we get wrong. So what is true, what the materialist thinks is right and proper, is the devotee has a completely different conception. How can we explain this one in terms of the topmost devotees? Asatyam apratishtam te jagadahuranishvaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. They say this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. How are you going to explain that in terms of Vrindavan? Well, the world is unreal in one sense. It's real and it's unreal, both. How can that be? That sounds like some kind of Zen thing, isn't it? It's all a matter of perspective. You look at it this, well, it is. It's a matter of perspective. We have to be careful with this perspective thing also. I read something recently saying there's no right and there's no wrong, it's just a matter of perspective. Ooh, that's really dangerous, really. It's in a book written by it's initiated devotee. This world is unreal in one sense, inasmuch as it's a phantasmagoria. It's like a dream. Is a dream, what you see in a dream, is it real? It was real in one sense, otherwise you couldn't talk about it. In a dream, I did see such and such and such, but it's only a dream. So it may have some repercussions also. You wake up and you're still feeling afraid from what you experienced in the dream. And definitely during the dream you're feeling afraid, if it's a nightmare, or you may feel some happiness or whatever it is. But it's unreal in the sense that it's temporary, it has no real substance. So in the same way this world is unreal, but at the same time it is real. You can't say it's totally unreal. There's a very good philosophical argument for people who say the world is unreal. Srila Prabhupada, he told us this technique: kick them in the face with boot. And then if they say there's nothing real, nothing exists, okay, kick them in the face with boot. You still want to say it's unreal? Okay, kick them again. How many times do you want to get kicked? And Maya is kicking. It's a fact that we are being kicked by Maya again and again and again. So it's real, but in another sense it's not real. So the world has no foundation. They say there's no. The demons say there's no ultimate basis of this world because they don't want to recognize there's a God in control. The world has no other cause than lust, and actually devotees can accept that also. Even Srila Prabhupada accepted that when he was discussing about Freud, who's a big demon. Sorry. He's the father of your profession, right? Psychoanalysis. So he emphasized so much on the power of lusty desire. And Prabhupada said, yeah, he's right. Devotees were surprised to hear, yeah, that's the world. The world runs on lust, on love, what they call love. It's lust. They say this world is produced of lust. Yeah, it is. Kimanyat kama haitukam. This world runs on desire, but it's perverted desire. But they say there's nothing beyond this. There's only what is here in this world, that's it. There's only lust, and then you're born and you enjoy yourself and you die. Finish. But actually in this material world, yeah, desire is the basis. Perverted desire. Chintam aparimayam cha. They're always full of anxiety. And Srila Prabhupada explained that Mother Yashoda, she's also full of anxiety for Krishna. But you should have, he said we should have Krishna anxiety. In this material world, people are anxious for maintaining their own situation, maintaining their prestige, maintaining their position. But Srila Prabhupada described that Mother Yashoda is always full of anxiety for Krishna. He's going to the forest. It's very dangerous in the forest with all dangerous animals, and we hear so many demons are coming. So she wants Balaram always to look after Krishna. Look what happens to Krishna when Balaram's not there. He gets caught by some big snake in the water, for instance. So she's always full of anxiety. So it's described how the residents of Vrindavan, they're always, especially Mother Yashoda, she's always full of anxiety. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, if you can develop this anxiety, that is desirable. We find in the first part of Bhagavad-gita especially, there's so much discussion of how to get free from material desires which cause the disturbance of the mind. The great sages, the Sthitadhi, one whose mind is fixed, Sthita pragya, his mind is fixed. Then he becomes peaceful. And we can become peaceful by knowing Krishna. So there's so much discussion of how material desires, here again is stated, kamopabhoga parama, because the demons take lust and the desire to fulfill their senses as being the goal of life. Therefore, they're always full of anxiety. So the first part of Bhagavad-gita, there's so much discussion of how to get free from material desire to make the mind peaceful, because ashantasya kutasukam, for the person who's not peaceful in mind, there cannot be any happiness. So we have to, in this world of lust and desire, we have to tolerate this. Don't become disturbed, just like the rivers, the mighty rivers flow into the sea, but the sea is not disturbed by the flow of rivers. So in this way, so shantibapnoti nakama kami. Some person who can tolerate, he doesn't become agitated by desires, he can attain peace, and not the person who tries to fulfill them. There's so much discussion of how to attain peace by becoming free from material desires. But we find the topmost pastimes of the spiritual world, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to experience, that he's always full of anxiety. If we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, the last pastimes, what is it? People, materialistic people, how can they, or even very God-fearing and good people, how are they going to understand? He's rubbing his face against the wall, he's crying, pining, running, feeling so much distress. That's the topmost bliss. He's full of anxiety. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? The 6 Goswamis, they followed that. He Radhe Vrajadevike Chalalite, He Nandasunu Kata, Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale, Kalindi Vanye Kata, Kutaha. And then Radha Kunda Tate Kalinda Tanaya. What's that word? Kedair. They're always full of They're always full of, their heart is full of rigor. Their heart is hurt. They're always feeling hurt in their heart. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? They're always feeling that. And that is described as being the topmost perfection. So this is beyond understanding. But we can see the intensity of the demons. These are intense feelings of hatred, intense nastiness. How can you be so nasty as to torture people and take pleasure in that? What an intense emotion. So Narad Muni says that the demons in their hatred for Krishna is so intense that they may be more fixated, more Krishna conscious than the devotees. Because that in this material world, that feeling of hatred and nastiness can be so strong, and with that the feeling of anxiety can be so strong. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points us to that intensity in love. It's turned around, turning it around the other way, and going to that complete intensity where the original, the highest love is so intense. So we can find in this description, in the 16th chapter, this is not how people are supposed to be. We're not supposed to be like this. We take it as normal in this world that people are rough and tough and nasty. And I was saying we try to socialize the children so that they are lusty and greedy and proud and all this, but they don't show it too much, or they don't manifest it, or even if they can be less, have these bad characteristics less, we say they're a good person. But the aim of people in this world in the present time is not to be a good person, not to be a saintly person. The aim of everyone is simply I, me and mine, how to enjoy. Demoniac society, demoniac culture. And therefore naturally, chintam aparimayam cha, everyone's full of anxiety. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pointing us toward the level where we're not simply free from lusty desires, we're not simply on the level of loving God, but at a level where it's so intense that it may, to our vision, appear painful, because we only have experience of it in this world. We can't imagine how the greatest distress can be the highest happiness. It's beyond our imagination, because we're so much stuck in this materialistic way of thinking. So that's another way to look at the 16th chapter of Bhagavad-gita and see how do people get like that? It's a question which it's one of the great questions of any thinking person, any person with a philosophical mindset, and I guess it must be there in psychology. How can people be so bad? What is it? But there are so many of them. There's so many people who are in prisons who they're never going to get out because they've done such bad things, really, really bad, nasty things, which you wouldn't think that one human could do to anyone else. But at the same time, it's normal in human society that you do such things to animals. And it's just taken as normal. And it's okay, and what's wrong with it? And someone has to do it, right? You have to kill the animals. And how are we going to feed all the people unless you torture them all their life? And they just take it as normal. And then they're surprised that humans act like that. A lot of education needed. Hare Krishna. Jayo Jayo Gora Chanda Arotiko Shobha. You going to lead the kirtan? Yes. I'm the boss around here. Ishvaro Ham. If Vishugada Prabhu is here, who else is there to lead the kirtan? Unless Vakreshwar Pandit's here. For instance, there are other great kirtan leaders. But he's not here now, and you are. So, dance. I can't dance now. I mean, I could, but then I'd be out for another few months, probably. If I don't dance, then maybe after a few days I could move around more easily. But as I always say, when you're young and your body is not messed up, dance for Krishna. Hari Bol. Go Hari Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.